Hello and welcome into another edition of Pete's Corner. I'm Brody Myers. We've got a fun show for you this week, looking at the music scene in Stillwater.
Yes, I'm Michaela Vaughn, and we've got stories on some music students, local bands, Stillwater's Dirty Little Secret, and more.
Stay with us.
Brady, what's your favorite song right now?
You know, it's called Stay a Little Longer by a group called the Brothers Osborne. It's kind of a groovy rock country song. I like it a lot. What about you?
I'd say my favorite song right now is probably Remedy by the State Champs. They're a punk rock band.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, speaking of music, there's more than just what's on the radio or on Spotify right now. We sent our reporter Sam Milik, who are talking with guys who have a different take on music.
Throughout the years, there have been several genres and iterations of music, one such being a cappella groups. Initially started as far back as the 15th century, a cappella is essentially music performed by a group of singers without instrumental music. Popular forms of the style can be found in religious settings as well as in barbershop quartets, but did you know that you could actually find one right here in Stillwater? Pocapella was started in 2013 as Cowboy Chorale and consists of a group of male students who enjoy singing. Justin Hughes is the vice president of Pocapella, and he shares his favorite part about being in the group.
The events that we've gotten to do. There's been an extremely wide range of events we've done, everything from just small like happy birthday gigs to sometimes it'll be events around Stillwater.
Hughes says while their trip to New York City was memorable, he has a memory that he holds a little bit closer to his heart.
Aside from New York would be the concert that we did that semester as well. We put together, I don't know, like 13 to 15 songs or something like that. It was about 45 minutes worth of music, and so that whole semester was just like an insane grind. And to like have it all come to fruition for the first ever concert that Pocapella's ever held back in 2019 was like a super big, I guess, peak of the group at the time.
The boys of Pocapella have been able to create more than just music through their group. They've been able to create bonds that will last forever. Mike Bullington is a member of their group, and he says the bonds that they create are like no other.
My director from high school, he actually started Pocapella, so that's how I first learned about it. And then ever since I learned about it and I went here, I knew that that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of this group. And ever since I learned about it and I went here, I knew that that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to be a part of this group. And I saw the bond and the relationships that they all had with each other, and I envied it. And so now I have it, and it's amazing.
Music has a way of creating a community, and for Pocapella, it seems to have created a brotherhood. Whether they're rehearsing in the music school or performing around Stillwater, you can find these men out there giving it their all. For Pete's Corner, I'm Sam Milik.
Thanks, Sam. It's good to know the old musical traditions are still being practiced today.
Indeed, Pocapella's a great group. We sent Jacob Horchler out to the McKnight Center for the Performing Arts to see how it allows students to get into the music scene right here on campus.
Most Oklahoma State students only know of the new music center as the massive construction project that's been blocking off part of Hester Street. But the truth is that the McKnight Center has actually already been open for 2 years, and it's one of the hidden gems of OSU. Now, even if students do know where the McKnight Center is and that it's actually open, most of them don't ever bother to go and actually watch a show, which is a truly missed opportunity considering tickets can be had for as low as $25. What these students are missing out on is one of the best performing arts centers in the state, and not just for audience members.
Well, it kind of gives a sense of grandeur, for sure. I really appreciate, the amount of OSU pours into, the fine arts, especially like in Oklahoma where fine arts are a very dwindling thing. It really allows me to appreciate what's given and the opportunities allowed.
Now, for the audience, however, the experience is just as fantastic. The McKnight Center features a large lobby for audiences to wait for the performance to start or to mingle during intermission, and it also has 2 video boards inside the performance hall that display lyrics during performances to help with audience understanding. As for what these audiences can actually see, this school year the McKnight Center is advertising 21 events, and that's not even including the many student performances hosted in the venue each semester.
The McKnight Center is one of the premier performing arts centers in the state, but that's not all they do.
In fact, just here on this very lawn, they put on community yoga classes, and on this video board behind me, they show family-friendly movies for the community as well. The McKnight Center is an important part of the Stillwater community, regularly hosting events for families and for kids. Part of that is offering events families would actually want to bring their kids to. This season doesn't just include classical chamber music and opera performances, but National Geographic presentations on space and Stomp the Musical. And while those are just a few examples, the McKnight Center puts on a wide range of events, meaning that the students who do find their way to the McKnight Center are sure to find something to their liking.
You can tell how much money they spent on it and invested into a good facility here at Oklahoma State for their music academy. So I really enjoyed being there. We're really pleased with our experience.
Thanks for that, Jacob. If you want to see a list of events coming up at the McKnight Center, you can go to mcknightcenter.org, and oftentimes they have student tickets at a discounted price.
Hey, Brody, did you know I play the tuba in the Cowboy Marching Band?
I did, and I'm a big fan of the Cowboy Marching Band. I think the season doesn't start in football until the CMB rolls out in the field and starts that pregame fanfare.
Hey, I agree. Well, up next, I've got a story for you about the organization that adds some color to the music scene in Stillwater.
Oklahoma State is home to the brightest band in all the land, also known as the Cowboy Marching Band. The CMB is made up of a little over 300 students from all different majors, and each week these students put in many hours of practice to put on pregame and halftime shows that are enjoyed by the crowd in Boone Pickens Stadium. The CMB participates in traditions like Orange Friday, where everyone is encouraged to wear orange, and rehearsal starts with the playing of the trilogy of the school's fight songs. Another tradition of the Spirit of Oklahoma State is the singing of the alma mater after every rehearsal and at the conclusion of every football game. On game day, the band also participates in the walk from the Student Union to the stadium, a pregame concert, and the pregame show on the field in BPS. The Cowboy Marching Band's job is to add spirit to campus and support Oklahoma State relentlessly, living out the line in the alma mater that says, "Ever you'll find us loyal and true."
Alright, well, be sure to look for me on the 45-yard line on game days.
I'll be doing that.
Up next, we've got a story on the store that provides musicians what they need to be successful to make it in the music scene in Stillwater.
Daddy-O's Music Company is the only music store in Stillwater. Since they opened in 1988, they have been dedicated to helping musicians to the best of their ability. Daddy-O sells a combination of guitars, bass guitars, amplifiers, drum sets, sound systems, and accessories. However, they are more than just a store.
Daddy-O's doesn't just sell instruments like this one. They actually play a much bigger role in the music scene here in Stillwater.
Daddy-O sets itself apart by guaranteeing quality instruments. They do repairs, they work on everything they sell, and they even offer lessons. Daddy-O's employees Hayden and Nick both play gigs around Stillwater, and they say working at Daddy-O's is a great resource as musicians themselves.
Kind of helping out the guys in the band too, you know, I'm always getting drumsticks or guitar strings for, you know, the bandmates that are never prepared as they need to be. So I play with Buffalo Jones and the Herd sometimes. I was on their EP, you know, from back in the day.
Working at the store while being in bands has given them many tools and allowed them to network as musicians.
And having our boss, Drew, also facilitate our stuff, that's very helpful too, because there's about nothing he can't find for us.
Not only does the store benefit employees with a musical side hustle, but it also benefits local musicians.
I try to come down here and, you know, get them a cable that they might not have for their gig later on. And we just try to do that, and we also try to help people the best we can, finding other musicians to play with.
Ran by musicians for musicians, Daddy-O's Music Company is always eager to lend a helping hand, whether you're an experienced touring musician or just a beginner starting your musical journey. For Pete's Corner, I'm Jolie Salee.
See if you can put them on the strings from that side too.
Thanks for that, Jolie. Maybe I'm going to buy myself a guitar for Christmas.
I go in there quite a bit in my microphones, XLR cables for my public address gigs. It's nice to support a local business, and they do right by you.
Yeah.
Next up, Carter Stanton talked to a student who turned down a full scholarship at the school down in Norman to play for the Cowboy Marching Band. Carter, what do you have?
For Ben Edwards, life has always been about music. It all started in 6th grade band, when initially he didn't even get the instrument he wanted.
I wanted to do percussion initially. I was walking by the high brass table and the director was like, hey, come here, like try this.
After some early hiccups on the trumpet, he really started to take after playing music.
Like I got good at trumpet and I was getting to the point where I could take ownership of the instrument.
Before he knew it, his life was revolving around it, and he knew he wanted to turn his hobby into a career.
He's definitely happiest whenever he's doing anything musical.
When it came time to decide on a college, OSU was the front runner.
So I was looking at pretty much 2 colleges, OU and OSU, and I actually got a full tuition paid scholarship to OU, but after receiving no money here, I still chose to come here.
Ben and his classmates spend a lot of time in the McKnight Center for the Performing Arts, which only opened a few years ago. They also spend a lot of their time here, in the Michael and Ann Greenwood School of Music, which just opened this year. State-of-the-art facilities like these are a big reason why OSU continues to get top-tier music students. But even after switching instruments, Ben's biggest takeaway of his college experience so far hasn't been the state-of-the-art facilities, or even his time playing his instrument.
The hardest part about my degree is probably not going to be horn, and it's not horn right now. It's knowing and understanding what music is. Like we take history classes and theory classes, and like that's been where I've learned the most.
The future is bright for Ben, much thanks to what he's found here at OSU. It's been full of ups and downs, but choosing OSU has helped to ensure Ben's future success. For Pete's Corner, I'm Carter Stanton.
Thanks for that, Carter, and we're glad to have them as a member of the brightest band in all the land.
Yes, we are. Up next, we've got a story on a student who is not majoring in music, but is still finding their passion through it here at Oklahoma State. Esther?
The Michael and Ann Greenwood School of Music provides an environment to help music students do the best in their abilities. It boasts a variety of classrooms, music labs, and studios with the latest technology for advanced studio production. The building was a frequently visited spot for OSU sophomore Marissa Jonigan.
In 6th grade, I would have to say that my friends kind of pulled me into it. Usually some kids say that their parents have played instruments or they have some prior music experience.
Back then, Jonigan knew very little about instruments, but soon learned that music turned out to be one of the things she loved the most, along with the people she got to know.
I would have to say a lot of my directors. I do have a couple of them that I was very close to. There was a lot of years that I was in their ensembles. I even took a teaching assistant job. Getting involved a lot really helped in deciding if I wanted to be more than that and becoming a music ed major.
Once a music education major, Jonigan changed her path to psychology and is currently aiming for a music education minor instead. Jonigan found that being in high school, there was a balance between classes and music, but when she got to college, it was mostly practicing music, and it burned her out.
That was one of my challenges, was switching from those 2 parts and just practicing to improve myself instead of for competitiveness.
Even though her college plan has changed, Jonigan still wants to improve the lives in her community through teaching.
I will still be able to give back to the music company by doing a minor and teaching private lessons to maybe possibly younger kids.
For Pete's Corner, this is Esther Nyang.
Well, thanks for that, Esther. We're so glad to see that Jonigan is honing in his music skills here at Oklahoma State.
Indeed. Coming up after commercial, we're going to look at local music acts in Stillwater, take a look at the genre that was born right here in this town, and maybe a little information on someone who has some friends in low places. Stay with us. Welcome back to Pete's Corner. I'm Brody Myers, and we're talking about the local music scene right here in Stillwater, OK.
Yep, I'm Michaela Vaughn, and we sent our reporter Adam Morey to find out about the genre that's born right here in Stillwater.
No good night out is complete without some music to set the tone. Stillwater is no exception. Red dirt music as a genre was born in Payne County, and the Tumbleweed in the western part of town and the Strip on Washington Street have both played a big role in its development.
Just been really inseparable from the concept of Stillwater and even OSU for most of its life.
Bands like Turnpike Troubadours, Cross Canadian Ragweed, and Jason Boland have all contributed to the rise of red dirt, but there are plenty of upcoming artists too.
Now it's essentially the generations of musicians across Oklahoma, Texas, and frankly the country that were influenced by that.
Many of these new artists have been influenced by Stillwater bands that are now more established and well known.
Growing up in junior high and high school, my little tracks I piddle around in, like just kind of resonated with me. And then I lost the CD, but I was never old enough to remember like what it was or where I got it or anything.
Trent Fletcher moved here in 2018 to pursue his music career. He first got into red dirt when his dad gave him a Cross Canadian Ragweed CD, and he quickly realized that music was what he wanted to do.
Almost 21, I moved to Stillwater to play music and just kind of realized early on that, you know, this is where it's going on, this is the place to be.
What better place to have a career than the birthplace of red dirt? Yeah. Beyond his own music, Fletcher wants to grow the music scene in Stillwater.
Starting in January, fans will be able to catch the Trent Fletcher Band and other acts here at Willie's every night of the week.
Both Crutchmer and Fletcher agreed that the best way to support the live music scene in Stillwater is to directly support the artists. For Pete's Corner, I'm Adam Morey.
Thanks for that, Adam. Red dirt country is actually one of my favorite genres.
Very cool. Well, if you want to go boot, scoot, and boogie to some red dirt country, our reporter Cameron Cox has a place where you can do just that. Cameron, where?
The Tumbleweed is Stillwater's iconic music venue. Founded in 1981, the establishment opens from 8 p.m. to 2 in the morning every Thursday through Saturday. Thursday nights are college nights where college students come to dance to music, whether it be line dancing or two-steps, and the music is either red dirt country, rap, or techno. Every Friday and Saturday night is music nights, where local Oklahoma bands come to perform their music, whether it be live electrical or acoustic. Kerry McBride has been the owner of the Tumbleweed for 12 years now, and he gave his insight on what makes the Tumbleweed so popular amongst the Stillwater community. He says, being a dance club in a college town, but not just any college town, a college town where the OSU Cowboys are, and promoting a safe, fun environment for people. While people may come to the Tumbleweed for a great time, there's more to it than dancing. People leave with memories that will last a lifetime here. Rodney and Valerie Ross met the Tumbleweed almost 30 years ago. They stopped going after that for a while, but when their daughter was getting married, they came back to take dancing lessons and they found the excitement in it again. They now come back and dance almost every Thursday night. Together, they come to make more special memories that will last a lifetime in the place where they first met.
Enjoy each other's company with it, and it's truly a blessing to me.
So, whether we're all just hanging out, playing some pool, dancing with some friends, or just listening to some good old-fashioned country music, good memories happen at the Tumbleweed. For Pete's Corner, I'm Cameron Cox.
Thanks for that, Cameron. All of us native Stillwegians know just how legendary the Tumbleweed is.
Yep, and maybe you like the more funky music. Well, our reporter Brittany can help you out with that.
If you're 21 and in Stillwater, chances are you have been to the Strip. Well, if you like beer and live music, you're in luck because this band does just that. Every Thursday night, Funk and Beers performs at College Bar. For years, this changing group of musicians gets together to bring the funk to Stillwater. Former member Eric Epstein played in the band all last year but had to take a break due to a shoulder injury. He said he misses playing but still loves to attend and cheer on his friends. When asked if he helped still in preparation, he let us in on a little secret. There's little to no planning involved. They get sent the set list and whatever happens, happens, but he explains that is just the fun of it.
We,
gets sent out a song list, and then it's kind of on us to just prepare the music, and it's usually just highly interpretive, and whatever happens. It's usually just day of.
Not only does College Bar bring the funk to the Strip on Thursdays, but it also brings a variety of beers, including $5 pitchers on Thursdays.
If there's one thing College Bar knows, it's Oklahoma State students for years have loved the live music aspect of Thursday night, but they also love the beers.
Pumpkin Beers has been one of the highlights of my time here at OSU. It's become a tradition within me and my friend groups to go every Thursday night. Even if we have an exam at 6 a.m. on Friday morning, we will always be there on Thursday night.
Well, thanks for that, Brittany. You know, I might go to the Funkin' Beer show tonight.
Sounds like a good time. We've got a lot more stories from you, starting with this one. Maggie Burke talked to a band who took the world by storm from right here in Stillwater in the 90s. And in 2019, some of those band members opened a bar. Maggie?
30 years ago, The Great Divide and many other successful musicians got their start on Washington Street. Today, The Great Divide provides opportunities for others to do the same.
I don't know how it came up, but I know I'd said, hey, us six should open a bar and we should bring live music back to the Strip in Stillwater.
Members of The Great Divide, Kelly Green and Scott Lester, opened the Salty Bronc along with another couple in 2019. Live music was once a staple in Stillwater, but it died down in the last 15 years. However, since the Salty Bronc opened, there has been substantial growth in live music all across town.
When we opened the Salty Bronc, our goal was to help bring live music back. Now, I don't know if it was all our doing, but I do know when we started doing live music every Friday and Saturday, then it felt like everybody in town started hiring musicians again.
When we first started, we were looking for people to come play because the music in Stillwater had died. When I went to school here, every bar had live music every night, and they got rid of it. Now we don't look for people because we're solid all the way through the end of the year.
The Great Divide made their mark in the music industry, and now they have a place for other bands to get a start and do the same.
The Great Divide, being who they were and being where they went with Red Dirt Music and taking it national and being one of the top selling acts in the early 90s, late 90s. But then you look back at the history, the Great Divide started in a place like this.
The future of the Salty Bronc and the musicians who walk through the door is bright and does not plan on leaving anytime soon.
I just want to be a staple in Stillwater and keep providing a place for music to happen.
For Pete's Corner, I'm Maggie Burke.
Thanks for that, Maggie. It's cool to see bands getting their start right here in Stillwater, like maybe it could be the next Garth Brooks.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And you even talked to someone who has a local show here in town, right, Brody?
I did. Brandon Jackson is the public address announcer for OSU baseball and soccer. He works here on campus, and he has a musical act.
Music. It's in his blood. Brandon Jackson began singing and performing at a young age, influenced by his dad, who was musically gifted himself. Today, Brandon performs Red Dirt Music. He calls it a mixture of rock and roll and country. In fact, Red Dirt Music was born right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Most people have kind of heard of that, and it really is everything in between. You know, there are some acts that are real country, some acts that are more rock, and I could list a whole bunch of acts that kind of fit that idea, but essentially that's the sound and what I do.
Brandon Jackson has to do a juggling act with his music gig, his family, and his job as public address announcer of OSU soccer and baseball, where he's introduced some pretty famous people.
The 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush.
And he's met some famous people, too.
The list is crazy. Got to play shows with Dierks Bentley. We got to play Willie Nelson's Picnic down in Fort Worth. And so we got to play with Willie Nelson there, and David Allan Coe was on the bill there.
Jackson's wife, Becky, is the spirit coordinator for OSU, and Brandon helps out as much as he can. You can see him on the sideline for every Cowboy football game, home and away. And with everything on his plate,
it's crazy. And my wife's schedule is just as crazy. We talk about it all the time, that it's just, it's nuts how we juggle everything.
Before the pandemic, Jackson was playing 1 to 2 shows a week. He's dialed that down, but says he is working back up to his usual schedule. For Pete's Corner, I'm Brody Myers.
And if you want to see Brandon in action, you can follow him on Twitter at @BJacksonMusic.
Very cool. Well, you know, a different side to the music scene here in Stillwater could be all the local churches. We have a lot of churches in town. We actually sent our reporter Morgan White to see how Life Church is adding to the music scene in Stillwater.
Music has always played a big role within society, and more specifically in Stillwater, Oklahoma. All around Stillwater, you can find all different types of music. One in particular is worship music at Life Church. On November 11th, Life Church held a worship night for anyone in the community to come out and join. When COVID-19 hit, the church had to put a hold on worship nights. This was the first time back in 2 years. The community filled the church auditorium with rising hands and singing voices.
So the atmosphere during worship is very, very full of passion.
Worship consists of a team of leaders leading you through it. Maria Moreno is a part of that team and has the opportunity of taking part in leading worship.
You're not just singing just to sing, you know, like you are at a concert or something. You are singing to someone.
Music has the ability to make us feel things, whether that be happy or sad. Music is a really easy way to help people experience something emotionally. Not only is music pleasing to the ear, but it is also pleasing to your soul. Music has the ability to connect you with different emotions.
Like, for instance, if I were to play this violin, you would not feel good because I am not good at it. Yikes.
You know, when we listen to music, it makes us feel something, like there's something more than just us, like it's bigger than us. The worship music defines what that is. It's God.
Worship night isn't about going to watch the worship leader sing, but it's about the worship and praise to God.
We're on stage, like we're just there to help facilitate like the worship environment, to help lead people in worship, you know.
Life Church music stands out amongst the music scenery in Stillwater, Oklahoma, for its purpose of worship, which isn't to entertain like a concert, but to be in communication with something greater.
It's not just expression for expression's sake, but it is linked to something deeper, something that we were made for.
For Pete's Corner, I'm Morgan White.
Well, thanks for that, Morgan. It sure is great to see the different sides of the music scene here in Stillwater.
Sure is.
Yep. Brody, did you know one of my all-time favorite bands is from Stillwater?
Who would that be?
That would be the All-American Rejects.
Is that right?
Yep.
Well, if you've lived in Stillwater for as long as I have, everyone's got some sort of connection to the guys at AAR.
Oh, yeah. We sent our reporter Alice McElhill to find out about Stillwater's dirty little secret.
Stillwater, Oklahoma. A pristine, small town full of churches, white picket fences, and a rock band? That's right, the All-American Rejects formed in 1999 while lead singer Tyson Ritter and lead guitarist Nick Wheeler were still right here at Stillwater High School.
It's in these halls that Tyson and Nick were able to explore their love of pop-punk music, and after teaming up with residents from Stillwater and Edmond, they had the first form of what became the infamous band. And it was thanks to Mr. Curtis Davis, who helped push them along right at the beginning.
I was alone like this in my room, and he came running in down the other end and said, "You've got to listen to this. It's the demo of this song." And he put it on a cassette player, I think, at the time it was so old. And he turned it on, and it was organ music. And he was like looking at me like, how am I gonna react? Why is there organ music at the beginning? Long story short, it's their #1 hit.
Nick Wheeler, the band's guitarist, was also a Stillwater High School graduate.
Nick was in photography, so most of the time he was in the darkroom, which, you know, that's what you're here for, making pictures. So.
While the Rejects haven't put out an album since 2012, they continue to inspire Stillwater High School students and alumni to pursue their dreams much like they did.
I don't know if it makes them work any harder than they would, but it certainly makes them. It's very natural for our kids to think they can do that too. It's not a long shot if they want to go in the music industry or television or athletics.
The All-American Rejects made their mark not only on the stage, but also here in Stillwater. For Pete's Corner, I'm Alice McElhill.
Thanks for that, Alice. You know, I'm never going to get over the fact that they're one of my favorite bands, and they wrote some of their songs in this town.
It's very cool to have that claim to fame. Well, Morgan White is pulling double duty for us this week. She sees what it's like to have an open mic right here in Stillwater. Morgan?
It can be hard to find opportunities to have your voice heard. When OSU senior Maggie Burke came to college, she thought her days of singing in front of a crowd were over.
Like in high school, I sang a whole lot, and then in college, I just figured the opportunities stopped.
But it wasn't just Maggie who stopped singing. OSU senior Brant Simpson also stopped when he came to college.
I quit playing in public. About once I came here, I didn't do it for a year and a half. Then one day I called Maggie and I said, hey, let's go sing at Willie's one night.
After performing together, the two of them knew that open mics were something they both wanted to pursue.
Cool that the opportunities for singing didn't stop. Once I learned of open mics going on, my friend Brant actually was like, I'll play for you, and he learned a few songs for me to sing since I wasn't very good at guitar yet.
Maggie quickly got into guitar lessons at Daddy-O's, the musical instrument store here in Stillwater, so that she can learn how to do open mics on her own. After only a few months of lessons, Maggie can now do open mics by herself and loves the opportunity they give her. They allow her to grow more as a musician. The open mic opportunities here in Stillwater are endless. Whether you're a student or just a local on campus, there's a place for you. Even if you're not 21, Tumbleweed has the right place for you.
The open mics give me that opportunity to grow and advance in music in order to get better and be able to play more.
Singing is one of those deals that you just get better and better at it just as many times you do it, and if it's something you kind of got to keep up with.
Here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, open mics are an outlet for individuals to share their voice and talents with the community, just like Maggie and Brant did. And remember, practice makes perfect. For Pete's Corner, I'm Morgan White.
Thanks for that, Morgan. You know, I do a lot of public speaking things, but maybe I could break out my singing chops and we could do a duet of Friends in Low Places.
Oh, speaking of that, our reporter Alice McElhoe has some information on the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks, country rock sensation, multi-platinum and best-selling artist, and Cowboy alumni. Part of the class of '84, Troyal Garth Brooks graduated with a degree in advertising.
But when Garth Brooks started out, he wasn't just a student here at OSU. He was doing a lot more.
I used to play in a bar there, and one of the screen printers told my dad and said, hey, I know you like country music. There's this college kid that plays at this bar and at the Holiday Inn. You ought to go listen to him. So that's how the process started. Eddie went to listen to him, and he started putting money in his tip jar, so Garth started coming to his tables during his intermissions and talking to him, and they just got to talking and about college life and stuff. And he said, you know, he told Eddie that, hey, I have a nighttime gig. I play at Willie's at bars, but you know, I would like to have a job during the daytime.
But even with the fame, Garth found a way to hold up his side of an old promise.
Dad and Garth is, if he ever made it big, he wanted to do some of his concert t-shirts. And he said concert t-shirts, you know, he didn't ever know it was going to be that big. So after he did sign his first big record album and he started touring, we were doing 25% of one of his concert t-shirts. So, and we were having to work 24 hours a day to keep up, just with for 25% of one shirt.
Garth continues to be a local legend in Stillwater as students listen to him at games, in bars, and more. For Pete's Corner, I'm Alice McElhoe.
Hey, thanks for that, Alice. Well, it's been great hanging with you guys this week, but if Brody and I are going to do our duet, we got to get going.
Meanwhile, I'm Brody Myers. She's Michaela Vaughn. Our producers for this week were Michaela Vaughn and Joseph Dean. Our co-producers were Caitlin Shedchick and Cameron Cox, and the executive producers, Dr. Jerry Johnson and Jeremy Davis. So long, everybody.